Hi, my name is Neil from PowerSyncPro, and today I want to demonstrate migrating a hybrid device to become Entra-joined. And what we're going to do, we're going to configure the PowerSyncPro Server to achieve this. You've already installed all the prerequisites on your PowerSyncPro Server, and you have the instance on the left here already running, and you have an external endpoint for the workstation to connect to. So on my PowerSyncPro server, what I'm going to be doing is adding a read-only AD service account so we can read the users and devices from your on-premises Active Directory. And that's because we need to find out the security identifiers of the users to match them to the target, and we need the devices to perform scoping for the batches. Then we're going to create a enterprise app in the target tenant, and that will allow us to also read the users as well as get access to a bulk enrollment token for the Entra-join. We'll then make a matching profile between the source and target accounts so that we can perform a perfect translation table of the source and target users. After that initial configuration, we'll go ahead and create a runbook, and that's a set of instructions to disjoin from AD and join to the target. Then we'll create a batch and we'll allocate the workstation to that batch and also do some other configuration like pre-shared keys and certificates. Once we've done all that, we're ready to migrate a machine. So we'll apply the license to the server, and then we'll also take the PowerSyncPro Migration Agent binaries onto a workstation and we'll migrate the device live. Okay, so here I have my PowerSyncPro server, and I have this is essentially out the box. So I'm just going to log on with the standard credentials. When you have logged onto your device, it's a good idea to come up to the global settings and change the username and password so that you have something more secure. We're starting off in the sync service. Like I said a moment ago, we now need to create the directories to the source and directories to the target and create the matching. So we're going to use a free portion of the sync service or the matching portion of the sync service to achieve this. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to directories and click create, and then do my source active directory. I'm going to give it a name, and then I'll put in my source DC here, as well as a read-only service account, and I'll enter in the password. Coming down a little bit further, I need to read users to do the matching portion, and I'm also looking to include computers for scoping, and I'm not planning on making any other changes or groups or anything else, so I'll just click save to that. It will then go off and verify that the credentials I've put in are good, and there we have it. Fantastic. Now I need to create the target directory. So I'm going to come back to Enter ID and put in my name. So I have a script to perform this. And let's just navigate to that script. I need to load PowerShell. And run the script. It will ask for my tenant ID, which I need to put in. And then it will attempt to connect to the tenant. I'm going to use my global admin account here and put in the password. This will then ask for my MFA, and it will go off and create the Microsoft Graph command line tool, or it will add the permissions to this if you've already got them on your tenant. You can consent on behalf of your organization. Please consult your internal teams first. Once it's done that, it will go off and create the PowerSyncPro application with all of the requirements needed to create bulk enrollment tokens and read users and everything else. Here it will now provide all of those details which we're looking for, and there they are there. So I could take the tenant ID, which I had earlier, I could take the application ID and the secret. I only need to look for users here because they are the only ones that I need to match to. So I just click save. That will then just verify that all of those credentials are sufficient and we have connectivity to the tenant. The next thing I need to do is go back into this directory and create the bulk enrollment token just down here. So that's to Entra-join the devices to the target tenant. I will give this a name, which is the account that gets created within Entra. And it will ask me for my global admin credentials once more, because this is a highly privileged action that we're doing here. And here is the PowerSyncPro Migration Agent application being created. And the bulk enrollment token is now created. Fantastic. So now we have the source and the target. We need to come to the sync profiles and create a match between those so that we can create that translation table. This is a free feature of PowerSyncPro. Give it a name. I will select my source directory and I'll select my target. I do not need to create a template or use a template because I'm not updating user objects. Object type, I'm going to match users. I'm going to do match only sync action. I'm not creating any objects, but I'll do internal member anyway, and I'm matching with users as well. I need to select my source container from my source active directory. I could select where the users are located here. For this demo, I'm just going to select everything, and I also need to select the target container as well. When it comes to match, I have Entra Connect enabled on here, so my source UPN and my target UPN should be exactly the same. So it's a great matching attribute to use. So I'm just going to do that here. User principal name and user principal name. If I did have any differences between the source and target, I can create complex expressions to help identify the matching between the users and really drill into getting the correct users for the source to the target. Now that I've clicked save, I want to come to my schedule and have a look at what I've done. I need to give the schedule a frequency at which it's going to run. 30 minutes is fine. And just for the purposes of the demo, I'm going to click run now. That should take a couple of seconds, but when it's complete, I'll come back to you. Okay, that's fantastic. That's now complete. We can now go to the migration agent configuration at the top, and we can check our translation table. If you go to the migration agent and then down to translation table on the bottom left and select your target tenant, hopefully you'll see that your users have been matched between the source AD and the target AD. And my workstation is logged on with Tom Hanks. So fantastic. We have a mapping here, which is great. The next thing I need to do is add the license into this server because I'm nearly ready to perform a device. I've just got to do my runbooks and my batches. So I'm just going to go to licenses. And you can get a license from our sales team. So we just go add in the license and save. Okay, let's go to runbooks. These are the set of instructions that you're going to be performing on the devices. I'll go create and give it a name. My first device migration. The source directory is going to be your source AD, and I'll get rid of the target. And the target directory is the target tenant. I haven't created any other runbooks, and I do not want to run on the server. The user interaction is whether or not you want users to see the migration prompts. On this occasion, I do. I do want to run the startup, so I ignore that. The migration in progress image is a background image that your users will see, asking them not to log on to the machine. I'm going to use our standard one here, which we apply to all our customers. The migration fallback account is an account which gets added to the local administrators just in case if there are any problems. we are disjoining from AD and joining to Entra. So you may want the capability to get onto the machine if anything happens. And you can choose how soon you want the fallback account to be deleted. The command line package is a set of command line scripts that you may want to run before the migration, and you can also do PowerShell as well. User experience, these are customizable prompts that your users will see. So we have a cache credentials feature, which we're not configured today. Migration available, that means that the users have the opportunity to migrate. They're being given a grace period. Migration starting, migration in progress, migration complete, and service unavailable. You've got the opportunity to add a static website here for a QR code that will appear on the migration prompt. And the culture is also the multilingual feature of this user experience, where you can add any languages you like into PowerSyncPro Migration Agent, and whatever the user is logged on to their machine with, whatever language, we will surface that language if you have configured it. Device state. So we're not doing cache credentials. We are removing from all directories. So we're moving from Active Directory and Entra because you're hybrid. And domain joining to Entra ID. It gives you an indication here that we're going to be using the bulk enrollment token, and I'm going to ask it to enroll into Intune. I can also rename the computer, the target as well, if you like. Permission updates. This is the reason we created the translation table. So the Windows profile, file system, registry, user rights, file shares, printers, services, scheduled tasks, SQL IIS, local groups, and remote file shares will be repermissioned from the source security identifier to the target security identifier. So that's the source user to the target user. App reconfiguring. We actually don't need to reconfigure any apps. That's typically used in for example, a tenant to tenant, or going from on-premises exchange to a tenant. When going from hybrid to cloud only, typically you're going to the same tenant, so therefore we do not need to reconfigure Outlook, other M365 apps, Microsoft Edge, OneDrive, or AIP. The completion, we can set some proxy settings and again run a command line package and uninstall the agent if we so wish. I don't want to do that. Next, we're going to create our batches. This is where we enter a name. We enter in the source directory and the target. A batch is a logical set of computers which you want to migrate at a certain date and time. So you can have as many batches as you like and include the runbooks on those batches. I only have the one runbook, so I'll just add that. And when do I want to present the dialogues to say a migration is available from to my users? So you can deploy PowerSyncPro Migration Agent in advance, and then the prompts will start to appear from this date. So I'm going to say yesterday. And the migration is going to be enforced. That means users' devices will automatically migrate from this particular date, and I'm going to specify tomorrow. So they are in a window where they can choose whether or not to migrate. The time zone is either local or UTC, local to the machine. So this is the time local to that machine time zone, or UTC, everybody will be migrated at the specified time internationally. So it's just giving me an alarm here to say that I have put the migration available from in the past, so this might impact some of my machines. That's perfectly acceptable for this demo. Now I want to add my computers into scope. Here I can do all computers in my estate, but in actual fact, I only want to test one particular machine, so I'm going to go no computers and add in my workstation individually. Here it is here, and I click add. So that's my runbooks and batches set up. The next thing I need to do is create a pre-shared key. This is to initially encrypt the traffic between Migration Agent and the server. So I just click Create, go Generate, and click Save. Now I'm going to create my certificate. Once that initial encryption is made, we then use the certificates to then further encrypt the traffic. I can just do the default here. And now I'm ready for migration. Let's come and have a look at my agents. No agents have yet registered. I have two MSIs up here. This MSI assumes that .NET 8 is already installed on the machine, .NET 8 desktop runtime, whereas this MSI will encapsulate the .NET 8 already. I know that my workstation does not have .NET 8 installed, so I'm just going to download the encapsulated version. It's downloaded there. You can also get the download off our website if you so wish. Let's go and have a look at that. And I'll just copy it. And here is my workstation. Let's just paste it to the desktop. Right, let's have a look at the device join state of this particular machine. I have OneDrive loaded here. I have Excel connected to Tom Hanks admin source. I have Teams. I have my Outlook. Let's have a look at Edge. That has a default web page, and that is also connected to Tom Hanks admin source. Let's look at my device join state. I'm in hybrid, and I'm domain joined. Fantastic. And just to prove I am domain joined, let's have a look at this as well. I'm on the migsource.net, and I want to go Entra-joined. So let's run the PowerSyncPro Migration Agent. You can use any software deployment mechanism. I'm just showing you the GUI here. You can obviously deploy this silently to all your users. When you're deploying silently, the command line will need to include the pre-shared key. Let's go and get that. Then you'll also need to provide the URL of your PowerSyncPro Server endpoint. So this takes a 10 seconds or 20 seconds or so to install. And you remember that we actually did put this machine into scope. So fairly rapidly, we should see a migration prompt appearing once PowerSyncPro Migration Agent has been installed. It's just starting the services. Okay, just click Finish. Fantastic. So we now get the migration prompt. If I go and have a look at my server and go back to agents, I could see that this particular agent has now registered. We know that's the case because we've added it into our batch and the migration has come up. As a user, I'm not ready yet. I'm still within the grace period. If you remember, it was tomorrow where this migration is being forced upon me, so I can click snooze if I so wish. Notice I've got some desktop icons here and my ribbon's customized. I can remove an icon if you like, just to show you that the customizations will persist and the same user profile will appear after the migration. As a user, Tom is now ready for migration, so I come to the taskbar here. I right-click on the PowerSyncPro Migration Agent taskbar icon, and I click on Migrate now. I'm still within the grace period, but I can click Start. This is where PowerSyncPro Migration Agent will now go through the device and re-permission all of the areas that you specified on your runbook. It doesn't take too long. It's now asking to restart the machine. It will do a few restarts, but just for the purpose of the demo, I'm just going to speed it up a little bit and give that restart straight away so we don't have to wait that 1 minute. Whilst that's rebooting, it will take a couple of reboots. Let's go and have a look at the telemetry on the agent logs. Here, you can see everything that's happening on the device. For example, You can see that it's starting the runbook here, and it's creating the fallback account, disabling BitLocker protectors, backing up local groups, and performing some other actions. When PowerSyncPro restarts the device, and then when it has internet connectivity once again, all of that telemetry, all of that logging will be sent up to the server for you to review. You can already see that it's joined my target tenant here, so the migration is going well. Hopefully you'll see that the background image of the workstation is that image that I loaded into the runbook. There it is there. So the migration is in progress. We're still performing some actions on the device, but we don't want the user to log on to the device just yet because the migration is still happening. We're performing registry changes, we're performing file system changes. So that's encouraging the user not to log on. Within the dashboard, you do get the opportunity to see the progress of your devices. I've only got the one here, and you can see it's in progress. When you have 10, 20, 30,000 machines, you will just see these donuts changed based on how many devices are migrating in your environment. You can look at the user profile report here to find out all of the users that are logged on or have profiles, should I say, on your devices. So the machine's just restarting once more. And hopefully when this comes up, we should be able to log on to target tenant. Let's have a look. Fantastic. So that background image has now disappeared. So I'm logging in with my tenant credentials now because my device is now intra-joined. So it was hybrid joined. We've disjoined from there, and now we are intra-joined. So let's go and have a look at our telemetry once more. Agent logs. And we can see here that enabling the BitLocker protectors, restoring some legal notices, and it's saying the migration is completed. It does take a little while for these machines to log on after the migration, but we're now going through the normal Apex setup, and that should take a couple of seconds. You'll notice as it's doing the Apex setup, hopefully we're going to get some logging in a second, the moment that's connected to the internet. So the machine's now logging in. You can see on the left-hand side, our desktop is the same. Our removal of that icon has gone as well, and the machine's just slowly logging in. So it's exactly the same user profile that Tom is logging into the machine with. You'll see, notice below, OneDrive is still logged in, and now we're getting the migration complete prompt. Let's go and have a look at CMD. dsreg CMD status. Let's have a look. So we're Azure AD joined. So we are now Entra joined, and we are no longer domain joined. So this is a cloud only machine. Let's have a look at Outlook. Let's have a look at Teams. OneDrive, as you said, is still connected to the migration source. So no changes there. As a user, within a few minutes, my machine has been converted to Entra joined. I'm still logged into Teams, and I'm still logged into Outlook. I think that's been a successful migration. So thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed the demo.